All right. We are so excited for this special guest out of Atlanta, Georgia. He's paved the way for so many up-and-coming producers. He has years of experience and knowledge and uses it to teach new musicians and producers how to navigate the industry. His viral song, So Pretty, which started as a TikTok challenge, reached top 5 most viral songs in the world. And he's produced for Grammy-nominated artists like Tyga, Joyner Lucas, Tory Lanez, and so many more. If you're an artist on social media, you've seen his face, you've heard his beats, and you've most likely duetted him before. Please welcome Kato on the track.
What's up, Kato?
What an intro. That's the best intro I've ever gotten.
Come on now. She kills it, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, dude. We really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you guys, man. I'm a big fan.
So you guys were just chatting it up. You kind of had similar roots, it seems like.
Yeah, I guess we're both from the same town.
Crazy.
Yay.
Yeah, Virginia. I had no idea you're from Virginia.
Yeah.
When did you make the move to Atlanta?
After college. So I went to college in Philly for about a year at Drexel University. And I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. Like, school has never been my thing, as we were kind of talking about before we went on air. Got into trouble and I was just a bad student. And so, I always kind of like forced my way through school. And I decided after the first year of college that I was going to drop out and move in with my family, who had just recently relocated to Atlanta. So that's how I ended up in the A.
Gotcha.
Awesome. Well, hey, listen, this podcast, we really want to focus on bringing as much value to independent artists, whether that's musicians, producers, rappers, etc. So instead of the traditional route of asking you, when did you start making music, all this, I'd love to just jump in and start asking you questions that I think a lot of people want to hear. So for one, I know when you first started out, you were rapping and producing. Is that right?
Yeah.
So what made you realize, okay, you know what, I'm going to go all in on producing and kind of leave rapping to the side?
I think the biggest moment is when I met an artist in Atlanta, just from doing shows and being out in the scene. I met an artist named Jaron Benton.
Yep.
And we just clicked. Like, we got in the studio, started working on music together, put out singles, put out albums, put out music videos. And that was really the turning point for me to decide, like, okay, I'm starting to get a lot more opportunity with the production thing. So I'm gonna just fall back with the rapping thing. I really only started rapping because, like, I didn't know any rappers to put on my beats.
So I'll just do it myself.
It was like, yeah. So it was like, that was kind of the only option at the time.
Now, I've always felt this way, because you said you met an artist, you kind of made your own, like, team there in a sense. I've always felt this way about it, because I did the same things with my friend Cakes. Like, we both started from zero and we built from there. And I think there's too many artists or producers trying to get in with someone who's already done it, instead of just building it from the ground up with someone who's as hungry as they are. They're always focused on the cosign or the story post or the share or the placement and I've always felt like, just build your own team and do those things on your own. I feel like it's just a waste of time to try to get in with somebody. Do you feel the same way?
Man, 1,000%, bro. I think it's the difference between, like, having short-term vision and long-term vision, right? Because, and I get it, as a producer, you're new in the game, you don't have any looks or you don't have any placements, and you think the quickest way to get there is by getting a record with an artist that's popping. So you're reaching out to, you're networking up, right? You're reaching out to, like, all the most popping artists on Instagram, sliding in DMs. Yo, can I send you a beat pack?
Yep.
And you might get lucky doing that, but it's really a shot in the dark. And playing the whole placements game in general is such it's just like, it's really a shot in the dark, man. Like, nothing is guaranteed. And even if you do manage to get your beats in front of a big artist, you don't know if that song's ever coming out. So then you gotta wait a year, sometimes. Wait a year, sometimes 2 years to see if the song's even coming out. And then that's not even the point that you get paid.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you got to wait even longer to get paid from that. So I've always, man, just been, and I think this is at the core what it means to be independent, right? It's like, I have always just kind of gravitated towards the idea of I'm going to do everything I can within my control. So all the things that I can control directly, those are the things where I'm going to spend the most time and energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Sort of speaking on teams, what does your team look like right now as a producer? I know some people might think, oh, producers don't need managers, but obviously that's not the case. And I assume you have a team. And at what point did you know you had to add people on, and why?
So I was a one-man show, bro, for a long time. I really only got my core team during the pandemic, which was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And that happened just through me developing relationships with people over the years. And so now my team right now is it's super small. Like I don't have a manager, but I have a business partner.
Okay.
I have two business partners, really, Ben James and Billy Mann. And Benton has an assistant, Emily, that helps with a lot of like administrative stuff, reaches out. They also have an A&R on the team. I have my lawyer, who is definitely a core important part of my team.
Totally.
And then the rest on the business side is just like partnerships. So I have a partnership with the United Masters. I have like brand partnerships within the music kind of space. So yeah, everything else is like outsourced. If I ever need graphics or video, like I have my go-to guys to do that kind of stuff. And then on the music side, like there's kind of a core team of producers that I have signed to me. And then I have songwriters that I work with too. So we keep everything small, bro. It's pretty tight.
Yeah. I have a question. It's not even on topic. It just popped into my head. I love talking about this side of it, like the business side of it. So without like saying amounts, I would love to know as a producer where your revenue is generated from and the percentage of your total income that revenue is. So like, is it a DistroKid, or is it like splits on a master, or is it on publishing, or is it on a brand deal? Is it on, and kind of, because as like I'm sure producers listening, they want to know, how can I make a living out of this? And then because a lot of them, like I've seen you speak on BeatStars and building a catalog on BeatStars, and that was how you made your first six figures or whatever from music. And but right now, as like someone who's really doing it for a living, where is that money split up?
So I kind of think of myself as not the most traditional producer.
Good.
I've spent a lot of time just like really focusing on building a brand.
Yeah.
Because I think there's more opportunity in that. So with that comes a lot more diversified revenue streams, right? So in terms of the actual like splits, I don't know off the top of my head exactly how much I make from each one of those, but I can say, like top 5 would be probably brand deals.
Okay.
Would be in the top 5. Selling beats online, definitely in the top 5.
Yeah.
Your course has got to be up there.
The courses, which I actually just started this year, believe it or not.
Oh, really? Wow.
That's like a new thing. But yeah, the courses have already surpassed my expectations and projections for this year.
Easy.
Royalties and like advances from selling beats, like to labels or to artists, independent or major. And then the rest is just kind of like, what else is there?
Yeah, there's just the little stuff that kind of adds up a little bit.
Yeah, like I have sample packs on Splice. I get paid from that every month. So it's like it comes from all over the place, bro.
Yeah.
But
which I think is the key, and such a great point, is the diversification that you have. You aren't just relying on selling beats on one platform. You're expanding into brand deals. You're leasing beats. You're working with art. Like there's so many different things you have going on. which is so great.
Yeah, I mean, the brand did $500,000 last year, you know, and it's projected to do double that this year. So it's like I love being the producer in the studio, making songs, working on records. That's another thing that we're working on this year is like, I'm starting to release my own records, like kind of like what DJ Khaled does, right? It's like DJ Khaled featuring all these artists. So that's the other side of my business that we're building out. And then we're building out like, we're building out like the content side with kind of more of like a long form content series that we can shop to Hulu or to Netflix or to Amazon, you know, stuff like that.
Speaking on brand, because that's one thing you've done so well and you've adapted to for so many years, like with Instagram and now with TikTok going crazy. What advice would you give to an up and coming producer? Just because it's such a saturated market, there's so many producers out there. How does a producer stand out? How do they make a brand for themselves in today's day and age?
Man, it's a loaded question, bro. I think it just comes down to how do you communicate your story? You know what I mean? And when I say story, it doesn't necessarily mean like, where do you come from? Where were you born? Like, you know, that kind of stuff. I mean, like, what is it that makes you different and unique? And to me, every creative has that thing. Like there is something there in every single musician or music creative that makes them different from everyone else. It's just finding out what that is and then honing in on it and being able to tell that and communicate that, which is why I love what you guys do and on TikTok, you know, the way that you kind of preface your music by telling a story first, and then it kind of
I learned that from him. Yeah.
It's genius. Like it works so well. And that's what I mean. Like, how can you tell pieces of your story through content, through these mediums, through YouTube, through short form content, and your music, right? Your music is like one of the most powerful vehicles that you have to tell that story. So that's really where it starts. And then I think the rest is follow through and consistency and knowing how to build community around that.
Yeah. Yeah. Nick and I connected through TikTok just a few months ago. And that's sort of what I have really like just been diving into really heavily over the last few months. And that's something, like I said, you have such a strong presence on. At what point did you jump into TikTok? Were you there from the start? And then a second follow-up question would be, a lot of things I hear from artists and producers is like, oh, I don't want to be like a cringy rapper or a cringy producer on TikTok doing dances, and people, it's sort of misunderstood. Did you have those thoughts at the start? Like, I don't want to have my brand be tainted because I'm on TikTok? Or did you just sort of see the future that this app had from the start?
No, I was definitely one of those. I was like, you know, because I got on at the end of 2020.
Yep.
And yeah, I was one of those producers like, fuck am I going to do on TikTok?
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just a whole bunch of people doing dances, right?
Right.
But my business partner, Benson, he was just relentless about, yo, Kato, you got to start posting on TikTok. You got to get on TikTok. And I'm pretty agreeable. Like, even though I have certain opinions about things, like I'll try anything at least once, you know? So I got on and started posting my beats, and literally the second beat that I posted was the So Pretty beat.
No way. That was the second one?
The second one.
Bro, wow.
And it just went crazy. And it took a little bit of time. It didn't go viral right away. It took about a month. And then that's when I saw Rihanna Maria's duet to it that became So Pretty.
Yeah.
And that one just went stupid viral. I think Bella Poarch was the first one to do a duet to it. And after she did it, it went insane.
Crazy.
So yeah, that's my origin story of TikTok.
Love it.
And real quick, did that, because you were already, you know, making a living from producing and from music in general. But that moment, was that like, we got one. Like we did something, or was it like, okay, that's the next step? But did it feel like as big as it looks?
It felt pretty big, yeah.
Okay, good.
I guess especially with Tyga getting involved too, right? That's a whole different level.
Yeah, what's funny is that right before So Pretty started to go viral, I saw the beat starting to do like really well and starting to run up the numbers. So I was reading some of the comments, and a lot of people were like, yo, you need to send this to Tyga. Like, this is a Tyga beat. And so I actually sent the TikTok video to Tyga on Instagram. I DM'd it to him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he probably won't see this shit. And he responded and he saw it.
Crazy.
And he was like, yo, let's cook up. And so I sent him that beat first before So Pretty. And he recorded a song over it that I still have.
Damn.
And then So Pretty happened, and I circled back with him and I was like, yo, like, what do you think of this song that's running up on TikTok right now? Would you want to jump on it? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So that's how he ended up on the remix.
Just a testament to TikTok. Like, bro, cause I'm quick.
You're telling me.
A quick story is like when Pineapple went, like Lil Yachty hit me up and put a verse on it.
Yeah,
like I still have that version, and it never came out because like whatever. But TikTok, like, what?
Bro, I mean I've seen so many lives change from being on TikTok. And I know at this point, it almost sounds cliche, right? Like, yo, you need to get on TikTok, start posting your music there. Yeah. But it's true. Just being on that platform for the last like year and a half, I've literally seen people's lives change. Like Rihanna Maria, after So Pretty, she got signed to Steven Victor. Like, who is one of the biggest executives on the planet, right? And her life changed. And she's an 18-year-old girl in Australia. And So Pretty was the first song that she had ever made in her life. And then my homegirl Caitlin Raps, recently just had a big moment with the Russ Handsomer remix. And like, I talk to her almost every day, and her life is changing very, very quickly just from that one moment. So it's like, I've seen just people's lives completely transform from this platform.
We had Caitlin scheduled for what time today?
It was going to be an hour after this.
An hour after this.
And she's with Rush. She had to reschedule. So it's been crazy.
Oh shit! Damn, that would be crazy. I would love to see that.
Yeah, we had her. We had her before too, but.
Yeah, we had an episode with her, and the majority of the episode we talked about brand deals, and then afterwards she's like, oh wait, I just heard from my manager, I can't talk about it. So I'm like, all right, we have no episode, but the Rust thing was happening, so we're like, can we do another one? Now we have so much more to talk about. So we didn't get to her today, but hopefully next week or something. But yeah, she's killing it. And again, that's all from a TikTok duet.
It's insane, bro.
Insane.
And then it freaking takes her monthly listeners from 80,000 to over a million.
Over a million, yeah. Insane.
Bro, I remember when she was at less than 80,000, like she was at like closer to 30, 40,000 monthly listeners. And literally in a week, it shot up to over a million.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, bro, one thing that I often see, and this is part of like things that I would love to share on this, is you see people like Caitlin who have over 1 million TikTok followers, but can't get that connect to Spotify, right? They can't get that to transition. They can't get them to leave the platform and go listen to their music on Spotify. So, I mean, I have tips for that, but I was wondering if you have tips for getting people to leave platform and go and listen to your music outside of TikTok.
Yeah. I mean, I think I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like once you have something that kind of catches, that is more than just like a sound, that it feels like, man, I need to go listen to this full song. And it leaves them curious about wanting to hear more, right? And it's not just like a sound that people are sharing on TikTok in some like vain kind of way.
Yeah.
That's when I feel like it translates. And even that like requires a certain amount of consistency. And I think one thing that I feel like has hindered that is when artists get too boxed in to doing like remixes and they just become
That was me. Keep going, talk about it.
Well, because I know other artists that have had the same problem, right? They do these remixes and they kind of get boxed into doing that, and people don't give a fuck once they start dropping their own music unless it's really, really good. Yeah. Right. And so that becomes a challenge that I've seen. But I think it's just about having good music, bro. And clearly like you have surpassed that level because your music is dope and it connects with people.
I appreciate that. It's funny. Yeah. Because the same conversation happened with Nick. I was like quickly growing on TikTok and I got to like 700,000 followers and my monthly listeners was like 50,000. But my remix videos were getting millions of views and I was confused. And I talked to Nick and he literally was like, slow down on the remixes. He's like, you have great music. Even ones you put out 6 months ago, create content for that. Because people who haven't heard it, they're hearing it for the first time. It's a new song to them. And since that conversation in December, I haven't put out a remix. I've only been promoting originals. And now I'm at like close to 600,000 monthly listeners. Like it changed everything. So I couldn't agree more with that. Yeah.
And I'm curious to know from you, like, was it immediate once you started like posting your original music? How long did it take for that to run?
Yeah, there was one song in my catalog called You Said. And so after the conversation with Nick, I was talking to Brianna, my wife, and we kind of do all this music stuff together. And she helps me with the kind of behind the scenes marketing type stuff. She's great with that. And we were like, all right, let's look through my old songs. Let's try to make content for them. And I did a few. None were kind of sticking, but then I just did one for You Said, and it was a certain part of the song that people really liked. And so I kept making content for that part of the song, just in different places, different talk-ups, different lead-ups. And each one was like getting over 1 million views. And so that one song at one point was getting like 70,000 streams a day, which was crazy for my catalog. Crazy. So
just for context, because of numbers, I'm going to jump in. You went from around 60,000 monthly listeners to over 500,000 in about 3 months.
Right. Yeah. Which is insane.
That's insane.
And it was really that one song that did that. But one or two songs.
Even bigger than monthly listeners is now he's making a living from.
Yeah. For real.
Like a lot of times monthly listeners, like I won't say like names specifically, but you'll see people with like 7 million monthly listeners, but their catalog does 500,000 streams a day. Like you got this big number because it's in a lot of playlists. It's a lot of like one listeners. Like, so like, but when you have like 500,000 monthly listeners and you're doing, 120,000 streams a day, that's people listening to your music. Those are fans. That's a different.
Yeah, there's a cool stat now on Spotify for artists where you can see how many times a listener on average is listening to a song. So if it's like 1-to-1, that's not as good because they hear it once and that's it. Yeah. But at that time it was 7. So I could see that somebody who listened to my song listened to it 7 times, which is awesome. So having those repeat listeners is great.
Yeah, that's incredible, bro. I mean,
thank you.
And I love the fact that you discovered like that formula that worked for you, but that obviously happened through just repetition, right? It took time to figure that out. And once you finally did, like it happened in a big way.
Yeah, totally. It was really just trial and error. A lot of videos not doing well. Just kept going, stopped doing even though like the remix stuff was such an easy viral hit video, it's like I want to jump on that beat, but it's like, then what? They might go to my YouTube, but I can't monetize a remix on YouTube. So it's like, what is that for? And so, it's just like, really grind out trying to promote your original music because it can have a big payoff, literally.
That's one of my biggest points is, are you just doing it for the clout or do you want to make a living? Because if you want to just get in front of a lot of people making viral videos, got a lot of followers, then do your thing. But if you're trying to make a living, promote your original music.
Yeah.
That's the part that I feel like a lot of artists get caught up in because they're like, man, if I stop doing the remixes, I'm not going to get as many views and people are going to stop fucking with me. And they have that fear, that mental block of like doing something different. Yeah. But on the other side of that, like it just has so much potential to take them further, you know? So I think a lot of it is just like artists getting in their own way, right? Like getting in their own head and having these kind of fears about trying different things and experimenting and seeing what happens when they do this. And, you know, that's how So Pretty happened. That's how you started running up your numbers on Spotify and on TikTok. And we see what the result of that is.
Yeah. One thing you mentioned earlier, I wanted to jump to when you talked about reaching out to Tyga. So a lot of producers listening to this are wondering, you know, they want to work with a certain artist. I mean, maybe not get to Tyga like you were able to because you had a bigger platform. But when you're reaching out to an artist, what are the right things to do in the DM and what are the wrong things to do?
And you can just like plug your Instagram profile because I know you have a lot of posts on it. But or if you want to speak on it, you can.
Yeah. So my Instagram is Kato Producer, Kato Producer.
Yep.
I mean, I get hundreds of DMs a week from aspiring artists and producers. Like, I think the first mistake that I'll point out is like just being like, let's work.
Let's work. Yeah.
Like, let's collab.
Let's work.
And, you know, when I reached out to Tyga, my DM wasn't much different from that, but it's kind of a different scenario, right?
It is. Yeah.
Like, you know, obviously me being verified, I'm sure helped a little bit.
Yeah.
But I had the content on my page where if he was even curious enough to see who I was, like he could just go back on my page, like see what I was doing, see that I'm active and that I make a full-time living out of music. I'm not just some random person sliding in his DMs, right? So I think the first mistake is like, if you're expecting a one-way exchange of something happening from you saying, let's work or let's collab, that usually means like you just want them to do something for you. You want them to give you free beats. You want them to work with you for free, to give them your time. That's the first mistake. And then,
but even with the Tyga thing, you provided value. You gave him something. You're like, hey, I think you sound, you know, it wasn't just like, hey, let's work. It's like, all right, what's next? And like you were the first step of saying
that is huge because when people DM me, they're like, let me like, got a beat pack. There's no like, I really hear you on this. Like I made this specifically for you.
Right.
I'll listen to it most likely. But if it's like, yo, check out my BeatStars, or like, yo, can I send you a pack? Or like, yo, but if you say like, yo, I love your sound, I made this inspired by you.
Exactly,
you know?
100%. And that was my second point. Is like when I reached out to Tyga, I sent him the specific video, and I was like, yo, what's good, Tyga? I was reading the comments on this beat that I posted on TikTok, and everyone was saying that I should send it to you. So. Here you go. You know, it wasn't just like, yo, what do you think of this beat, bro?
You had an out too. Like, hey, people told me, you know, like I probably, you know, but they said so.
Exactly. And I guess the third thing is like lead with a product. Like, don't be so non-specific about it that the person doesn't know what you want or doesn't know what you want to do, right? If you lead with a product, like you said, yo, Nick D, I love your music. I love this one song that you did that you just posted the other week. I made this track that I think would work perfectly for you. Or I have this beat pack that I want to send you that I made just for you, right? It's curated. It's like a personal experience. It's not something generic where you're not even sure if it's a bot that's reaching out to you, right? If the person has to even question whether it's a real DM or not, or if it's a bot, then that's a horrible sign that you should change up the delivery.
I'd love to change topics.
Yeah, I was going to too. Okay. What's your topic?
I want to talk because you have courses now. You sold out a tour.
That's what I was going to bring up.
I want to hear about that, and I want you to plug that stuff.
Yeah, I forgot about the tour, but yeah, the tour is called the Sound Advice Tour, and it's interesting because in the last couple years, I've carved out this niche of like kind of being an educator in the music space. And that's not something I ever set out or intended to do. I just kind of stumbled on it. And so I've been able to kind of take that on the road and turn it into a full tour. A lot like how artists like you guys will go out and do shows and perform. I do the same thing, but kind of more in a private, like in studio experience where I talk about the music business. I bring through special guests. I have sponsors. So, you know, it's a full on thing. And my last tour that I did at the end of last year was 23 cities. And, you know, I charge anywhere from $300 to $400 per ticket.
Okay.
But it's an incredible
limited
experience.
Slots?
What's that?
Limited slots?
Limited spots.
Okay.
Yeah. So I limit it to like 25 to 30 spots per city.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's just great that I can like bring together music creatives in these cities that wouldn't otherwise know about each other. You know, I think that's one of the best parts.
And it reminds me of, there's like people that put on photography, like get together, but when you limit it, you get to have one-on-ones with, if they want a one-on-one, then there's that, like, they're like, I paid $400, like, and I'm about to sit in an auditorium, you know, but no, it's like you pay $400 and you get to speak with me about your business, you know?
1,000%. And that's the one piece of it that I wanted to make sure that I maintained, is that, and that's why I capped it at 25 to 30 people, because I wanted it to feel like, oh shit, I'm going to pull up and I actually get to have a conversation with Kato. Like, it's not him speaking to a crowd of people. I can actually go up, dap him up, shake his hand, and have a conversation with him, you know?
And were you renting out studios in each city?
Studios, sometimes like rehearsal spaces.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was usually studios.
What was the most common question you'd get from producers? Would it be like, hey, listen to my, you know, my music and tell me what you think? Or was it more stuff about the business side? Like what was the most common questions you were getting?
It was definitely marketing.
Marketing. Okay, cool.
Like, how do I get my music out there?
Yeah.
How do I build a fan base? Like that's the piece that I feel like most music creatives struggle with, is whether it's them doing it to themselves, like trying to get over the mental thing, or like actually strategically knowing what to do and how to share content and that type of thing. But it was definitely the marketing piece that people struggle with.
Did you have artists show up too, or just producers?
Man, I was surprised, because when I set out to do the tour, I thought it was going to be mostly producers, but in a lot of the cities, like more artists came out than producers. So it was probably about 50-50 in every city that I went to.
Because that's something we would love to do. 'Cause I love to teach. I love to share what I've learned. I mean, that's kind of how we connected in the first place. And I really enjoy it, almost as much as making the music. So that's something I would love to do, would be to do a similar thing for artists, just because I don't know much about producing, but
it's a great idea.
We should talk, bro.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah, for real.
I would love to.
Cool. Well, hey, I got one final question. You've achieved so much between, whether it's a TikTok viral moment, you know, getting a placement with a major artist, those 2 plaques you got behind you, which I'm sure are 2 of many. What achievement gave you the biggest sense of, you know, satisfaction, and, you know, like what was that moment that made you feel the best?
I'm gonna have to go with, I think it would have to be my Mount Westmore placement that I just got.
Yeah, that was huge, with some legends.
With legends, bro. I mean, just the fact that all 4 of them at the same time were on the same record, like that was a big moment, because I almost didn't even think that was going to happen.
And name all 4 real quick for people listening who don't know.
So Mount Westmore is Snoop Dogg, E40, Too Short, and Ice Cube. So crazy. All West Coast legend and just legends in their own right.
And your name's on there, dude. That's crazy. That's crazy. Congrats.
Insane.
Yeah.
Just that boy from Fairfax.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and I have another record on the Mount Westmore album too. So I have 2 records with them. And the first one, Big Subwoofer, was their first single, which was a big, just, I was geeked out, man. I was so excited about that one.
Love it.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, before we go, I have a question just because I see it in comments a lot.
I'll go for it.
Brand new producer who's never made a beat before. What's an affordable way to start? Where do you learn? What's a piece of equipment you can't live without? And what program would you recommend?
You can just rapid fire. Yeah, you don't got to like go into depth on how to use it, but yeah.
Okay, so first question, where do you learn? YouTube.
Yeah,
that's what I would say.
Yeah, YouTube,
like that's the cheapest and easiest and quickest way that you can learn on your own.
I could build a house watching a YouTube video.
Yeah, you can do a lot just watching YouTube tutorials. So YouTube. The second one was
an affordable piece of equipment, correct?
Are we talking like a MIDI keyboard? Or are we talking like
You're like a college student who's like, I'm broke and I want to make beats. What can I use to make a beat?
Really just need a computer.
You need a MacBook and a software.
Yeah, a laptop.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in college, I was in the same situation. I was broke. I didn't have money. So I got a pirated version of FL Studio. And I put that on my laptop and then bought like a $99 MIDI keyboard off eBay.
Yep.
And that was it. I just made beats off of that.
Awesome.
That's the thing, because a lot of people just make excuses. They say, I can't make good beats because I can't do this because but they just don't want it bad enough, man.
They don't want it bad enough. That's what I always say. Yeah. It's like, if you're not willing to find any way to do it, then you just don't want it bad enough. Yeah. I mean, I've seen producers make beats without a keyboard. Literally, like, have y'all seen producers make beats just I've
seen Russ do that.
He's done it multiple times.
Bro, it's insane. Like, I don't know how they do it, but they make it work. And that's the whole thing. Like, you got to be resourceful and just figure out a way to make it work.
Totally.
You know?
All right, my final thing is more of a testament to you and your brand. And if you want to elaborate on it, you can. But when I think of you, I don't think Kato the producer. I think Kato the entrepreneur. You know, and I think that's what you need to be in order to be a profitable producer. You have to treat it like a business. You know, you can't act like, I just make cool beats, you know. I got the best beats, okay, but can you make a living off those beats?
Like, having good beats is not enough anymore, because there's too many producers. There's too many beats on YouTube and BeatStars. Like, it's just the inherent value of a beat by itself as a new producer that nobody knows. I don't want to say it's worthless, but it doesn't have enough value to someone else where they want it bad enough. So I think that's why you have to build out these other tentacles to your business and like really become a brand so that you have more value and that you can bring more to the table. Because now, where I am as a producer, I have an audience. Like, if we put out a record together, I can help promote it. Like, there's inherent value in having a brand and having reach and being able to do more than just make beats, right? You bring relationships to the table, you bring partnerships to the table, you bring connections, you bring all these different things that have more value than just the beat itself. So I think that's the important part for producers to understand.
100%. There's very few producers that have any type of pull with people to go listen to the song.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have that.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, amazing. That's all we got, I think.
Yeah, thanks so much for your time, dude. We really appreciate you being here and sharing your
I appreciate
wisdom.
y'all, man. I love what you're doing, and I think it's necessary. It's super, super necessary, and I'd love to talk more about like actually pulling up to people's cities and doing this in person, and I think that could be incredible.
I agree. Especially knowing too that you were saying a lot more artists, surprisingly enough, were showing up. I think that's great. Yeah, I would love to do something like that. Cool. Well, we'll have to
nobody's
chat about
doing that type of shit
Yeah,
either.
no, you're right.
So,
You're right. On the artist side, especially.
Got to fill that void.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, 100%.
Not on
But I
that,
appreciate
not on that
y'all, man.
one-on-one energy.
All
All right, dude.
All right.
Well, enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you again.
Yeah.
Thanks, all.
Much
Be in
love,
touch.
All right,
baby.
peace.
I'm gonna get that demo. I'm gonna send you that demo.
There it is.
All right, I'm gonna hold you to that. I'm gonna hold you to that.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you. They've been in town, so it's like,
We'll get to
we
it.
gotta hang out with these guys. But I'm
It's
gonna
all
get
good, bro. I
I'm
know
gonna get
how it goes.
it. Yeah.
All right,
All
dude.
right, man.
Take it
Much
easy.
love.
All right, y'all.
Okay, we roll up on it, get to know you, get paid, then we pay it forward. Hold the phone, never got the ball, it's working, paying on.